All right, we're getting flashbacks to the Super Bowl locker room now because we got Trey Thomas with us. He's lighting up a stogie.
Yes.
It smells like victory, Zach. Trey, how you doing?
Man, I'm about to get ready to go out here and kick some ass on this golf course. That's what's about to happen. I'm getting ready for my victory lap out here on the course.
How was your game?
Terrible.
Okay.
But we're gonna go out here and we're gonna have fun. Since I got invited to these tournaments, I was like, all right, I'm gonna start training. I went out there with a trainer at Jaws course, started working with Bruce, my instructor. Taking lessons.
Bruce
and
is
I'm
good.
all in, And then next thing you know, I pulled something in my hip, so I was down for like 2 months, So now this is my first time getting back out.
Okay. Who's the best golfer of all your former teammates?
I think we all suck. It's like, because you're talking about Quick, but Quick is the best golfer.
Yeah.
I almost beat him one hole.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But he came with some shot out of the sand. I always talk to him about that. But I think Trot's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, from what I understand, from what I remember.
I feel like I don't want to stigmatize you here. I feel like offensive lineman to golf that's a bit of a tough transition. A lot of moving parts.
Yes, a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of strain on the back. Having to keep the core active. And being able to just go with a nice, easy swing. And that's what I'm trying. That's all I'm shooting for today. Nice, easy swing.
I think if you're power ranking, certainly the specialists are going to be the best, right? Because they got enough time to work on it. They're little guys to begin with.
Kickers are always great golfers.
Yeah.
They're always scratch golfers because their bodies hold up a lot longer in the season.
How do you feel about this Eagles offensive line, Trey?
I think they're one of the best in the game, man. I think Coach Stoutland continues to just show how great of a coach he is. You got Lane Johnson and Joey Mailata that are just great offensive tackles, man. I think Cam stepping in as center was no surprise. One of the interesting things that was about this offensive line is when you had Cam, you got Kelsey, and then you have Landon Dickerson. All three of those guys are centers, and they can be interchangeable. And when you have that, how to coordinate what you're doing, it just makes it a lot easier. And I think he just stepped in and had a hell of a season as well.
As you look at these rookie offensive tackles that they drafted, big projects, right? You got they have the tools per se, the size, the tools. They'll come in and work under Jeff Stoutland. What's the learning curve there to realistically become a potential Lane Johnson replacement?
It's going to be, first of all, I think it's the timing, getting off on the cadence. That's huge. When you look back, when you go and you look at Lane's game, and one of the things that makes Lane and Joy Mailata so good is their anticipation of the cadence and getting off on the count, and then being able to settle, not overset. So that's one of the things that it just takes time to get that. I think that when the defensive ends that they're working against this year, with Nolan and all these other guys that are coming back, man, you have some really good guys to go up against that's going to make you sharp in your gameplay. But I think that one of the things is just getting off on the cadence, man. That's the hugest Achilles heel to an offensive lineman, especially young guys.
Obviously, it's not the same coach. You've got Stout versus when you had Juan. But do you feel like the lineage of the Eagles' offensive line, this what has been the priority for the Eagles for so long, but you can trace it from you and Runyon to then you guys played with Harrimans, and then it's Peters, and then he passes it on to Lane, and then Jordan. Do you feel like part of that group?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great lineage over the past couple of years. You've always had some really, really good lines in this group, man, is just phenomenal, because I think that one of the things that's just the advantage of this group is just how well they run block as well. You know what I'm saying? And they run block really good out of a 2-point stance, so you're not giving a lot away. Back when we played, we were always in a 3-point stance, in a pass-setting stance. Even when we had pass plays, it makes it a lot harder to do protection. But when you can do that from a 2-point and you can run block as well as these guys do, it just makes your game way better.
I'm curious your perspective. We saw Brandon Graham here today. We saw Jason Kelsey here last year. If a former player wants to ask you, do I go into coaching? Do I go into media? You've done all of that. What's your advice for those guys?
Enjoy your time and see what comes. Don't try to force it. Just take some time to kind of, enjoy your family for a little bit. That's one of the things that I enjoy. And even with myself right now, I'm at a point where I'm really good at just being with my kids, and being a coach for my kids,
Sure.
Because that time you won't get back. And, right now my son, my wife and I are about to be empty nesters. I'm so glad.
Congratulations on this.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I was able to go to all of the recruiting trips and be at all of his games and come home from practice and talk through that stuff and help him through this transition. And, because no one is going to coach your child like you, especially someone that's played the game, So That's one of the things that I really enjoy, just as a parent, and just how things have gone for me.
And what a full circle thing for him to be going to Lehigh.
Yeah, he's going to Lehigh, man. And really, at first, when we first went out there, and they was like, "Yeah, Dad, I'm thinking about Lehigh. Let's go take a trip out there." And we walking around the campus. They're like, "Hey, Trey, how do you like it so far?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't like it at all. This sucks." Because all I can hear is Big Red just yelling, "Hey, man, this drill is live." Move the ball. It just brought back all those memories. But, man, just going there and being around the atmosphere, I think the coaching staff has done a really good job of what they're changing there. And my son just, he really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to it. We're dropping him off. He graduates on the 17th. We're dropping him off on the 21st. Let's go.
Wow.
Get to work.
Trey, I think you got to get ready to go
tee off.
I
got to go
Thank you so much.
I'm about to go and birdie. I'm taking all the hole-in-ones. All right, man.
Let's go birdies or stogies. Let's get at least 5
Yeah, we're going to get all of that in. All right, cool, man. Y'all
Trey
take it
Thomas,
easy.
thank you so much
Appreciate
for
it.
joining the PHLY Eagles podcast.